Yes. Welcome to episode 12 of the Third Pint Theory with your hosts. And you go first, Martin.
Myself, Martin Bridges, they call me the Beer Bigwig. And on the other end of the internet.
Yes, it's Michael Donaldson, the editor of Pursuit of Hoppiness. I don't have a moniker. I might need to find one.
Suggestions from the audience. What should we call it?
When I worked on the sports desk at the Australian Associated Press, I was known as Donaldo, in riffing off Ronaldo, but there was very little connection. I could not play football, so I still get called that from time to time.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think Australians are very good at nicknames that end in O.
They are.
Yeah, when I worked in Sydney, I was known as Bridge-O.
Oh.
Just for no other reason than I found it annoying.
They are very good. They are very good at nicknames. Right, well, we've got an interesting episode, Martin, this one. It's like a here is one we prepared earlier type of scenario.
Absolutely.
We went to Beervana in August and held a number of sessions in the concourse, talking to various brewers about various subjects, and recorded them. So it's the equivalent of a live podcast with questions from us and members of the audience, some banter that went in all different directions. And the first of them, we were riffing off the champion brewery at the New Zealand Beer Awards being Brave Brewing, and the champion beer being Garage Project's Chance, Luck and Magic. So we had Pete Gillespie and Dave Bell from Garage Project and Matt Smith from Brave Brewing on the stage. So that's what you're going to hear down the line. But Martin, if just to set the scene a little bit, if you recall, that Beervana was swirling with rumours about what was going to happen with Fortune Favours.
Yeah, it was certainly a topic of conversation because at that point there'd been no kind of real hint that there was anything astray with Fortune Favours. I'd not heard anything before we got to Beervana, but I was talking to various people who were saying that they had seen management teams from two breweries, at least, taking a look around the Fortune Favours premises in Wellington, and that kind of piqued our interest, and we were kind of wondering what was going on. And then it's kind of like the week after Beervana, I think, wasn't it? The news broke that Fortune Favours were closing down, which is obviously very sad. And then pretty much straight after that, there was another announcement that Garage Project were taking the site.
Yeah.
So it was. There's a link there into this episode.
Yeah. And it's it is quite surprising that Garage Project have moved in there. I think there's a bit more to it than maybe meets the eye on face value. I think there's a long-term plan at play here. But because it's 4 venues they now have in the capital, because that same week was the news that they're going to be, I don't know, what would you call it, the brewery associated with the revamped Rotunda at Oriental Bay. And so they're going to be in there with the chef being Ben Bailey running this restaurant, tap room, eating space. So they've got that. They've got their own tap room in Aro Street They've got the Wild Workshop where you can go in and do tastings, and they're going to move into Leeds Street where Fortune Favours were. So it's a big gamble on their part to be everywhere in Wellington, so to speak, you know.
Yeah, I think it was because the news about Oriental Bay and the news about Fortune Favours came out like within days.
48 hours, I think.
And they're both individually; those are big plays. You know, it'd be awesome. It's an awesome site at Oriental Bay. You know, it's been a shame that that's sat empty for so long. And to Ben Bailey's an excellent chef, I'm sure that they're going to come up with a great offering there. And then the Fortune Favours thing. I guess the Arrow Street tap room in Wellington for Garage Project is small. It's not.
It is small.
It is not a very large venue. It's very cute. I very much enjoy going out there if I get a chance to have a beer. But like 20 people and it's busy.
Yeah. And I think in Wellington, given how central a lot of other places are, it's a little bit out of the way. And it's more, and I think Pete Gillespie said this to me, it's more a suburban residents of Aro Valley bar tap room to an extent. So it makes sense in some ways for them to be in the city itself with a tap room, as opposed to, again, the maybe very niche Wild Workshop offering, which is not to everyone's taste.
No, I think it's great to have the Wild Workshop as an outlet. I think I went to a bar in Sydney. Is it called Wildflower? I think as part of the Inner West Ale Trail, and it's a lot like that. You know, it's they're interesting beers, wild ferments, farmhouse ales, and so on. So it is very much kind of a destination bar. Yeah. You would go for a specific style of beer, I guess. Whereas the Fortune Favours site is a reasonably big space. And it's got a brewery, and that was the interesting thing. As soon as the sort of it was mentioned that Garage Project was taking it, was like, are they going to keep the brewery? And the story from Pete was, yes, they're going to keep the brewery, and they're going to use it to make unfiltered lagers.
Yes.
Now, personally, I love the idea.
Yeah.
That sounds like a bit of a punt.
Yeah. I think, that's what they'll make on that brewery, and it will be the house beer, so to speak, but they'll complement it with their other beers. But I think it's good to have a signature beer. That's I think it'll be great. I've always enjoyed the times I've gone into Fortune Favours. When I've been in Wellington, it's a great site. It's got Golding's Free Dive just down the road. So if you fancy a wander down there for some non-Garage Project beer, then there's certainly options available. I think it's a complimentary offering.
I think so.
Yeah. But that shouldn't be too far away as we speak. I think I don't think they were going to do anything to the fit out. I think it's literally just walk in once they have all the relevant licenses in place and the staff sorted out. I didn't put this in print, but it was a good line from Pete talking about, so the staff at Fortune Favours were going to be offered jobs with Garage Project, and if they want them, and then, as Pete said, we'll, move them through the other parts of the operation so they can drink the Kool-Aid It's yeah, and so that's a good outcome for the employees there. So yeah, it's a good result for Wellington. It's sad for Fortune Favours. It really is. You know, they just had so many things that went wrong, and Shannon, the co-founder, Shannon Thorpe, I think was been quite magnanimous when he was just saying it's just the state of the economy. It didn't have anything to do with these various, not deals that they lost, but that they lost taps through their hospitality partner being sold to DB. So, you know, that was called Kapura, and it's now part of this Star Group at DB. And so there's taps that have gone, and they got compensated for that as part of the deal, but ongoing sales and presence is a different story to getting some compensation for that deal, and then they weren't being distributed by Coca-Cola anymore. So therefore, they don't have the taps, they don't have the supermarket presence, and you're reliant basically on a very small team to try and sell beer in a difficult economy.
I think it's similar to where we've seen breweries fail over the last couple of years, that the market is really tight. Everybody is operating on really thin margins, and they just don't have any buffer if anything goes wrong. And it only takes one or two things. Like I remember, Deep Creek in Auckland went under, and they'd had an issue with an export order, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. I think that it's been. I think it's similar for Fortune Favours. When things are going well, you can cope with the slings and arrows that go on. When things are tight, you just don't have that that wiggle room.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's where what Garage Project are doing comes with a degree of risk, because the whole thing is the state of the Wellington economy in general, the hospo scene, and as Pete said, it's a doubling down on Wellington, if you like. It's like, they're betting on a bounce back in the capital, and let's face it, things can't keep going downhill forever, I don't think. And so it could be they're in the right place at the right time, to take advantage of any uptick in the economy.
Well, I hope so. Look, I think it's when Garage Projects are just a fascinating brewery, and when we get into the interview, you'll kind of hear some more about that. I really hope that this is a positive step for Wellington, and it's, you kind of hope that maybe we've reached the bottom. I think it's a good time for them to be taking it on. Obviously, just coming into summer, there's that's generally a better time for the hospo industry. You're kind of running into that, and hopefully they will get a good, solid start. And
I don't think in their 14-ish years, I think it's about 14 years they've been going, 13 or 14, they haven't put a foot wrong yet, Garage Project, so I don't think they'll be making a mistake at this point in time. So I think they know more about it than we do.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I'm sure, it's not they're although they're not a huge business, they're still a pretty large business, and there's enough people in there who who are doing the research and who know what's happening and are making the plans. This is not a kind of Pete woke up one morning and thought it was a good idea to buy Fortune, to move into Fortune Favours. So
well, there was So they bought the fit out and the chattels and the brewery. So there is an investment. It's not a matter of just moving into an empty building. And I note that the Fortune Favours brand is still for sale as a separate entity. If anyone is listening and they want to buy that, get in touch. I'll broker a deal.
It's not the only one, obviously, at the moment. Hop Federation.
And that's another one that we just didn't see coming.
No, that one was totally out of left field. And again, I think they are, although they are winding the business up, they are open to a sale if there is somebody out there. I think unfortunately there aren't a lot of people who are investing in breweries in New Zealand at the moment. It's you'd be a brave person if do that.
That said, I did start drawing up a list of recent brewery openings. And it's a reasonably, when you talk over the last couple of years, there's a good dozen that have opened up in that time around the country. A lot in the South Island, I have to say. They don't make up for the number that have closed. Especially again in the South Island, there have been a number that have closed. So there's always someone prepared to kind of back their dream, I guess. I think in the case of Hop Federation, it does, and I would like to know more. We haven't necessarily got the full picture, and maybe we never will. But their owners were Kono, this Maori-owned food and beverage business, who are in turn a subsidiary of a company called Wakatu Incorporation, and which is owned by a variety of tribes from the Nelson region. And it's a big business. That is a big business. It's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. They own all sorts of stuff. They own land, they own vineyards, they own a hop farm. And on one hand, I think, man, a business that size, it could have absorbed a brewery, and then I think, or handled maybe a little loss-making exercise for a couple of years until it turned a corner or something, and they'd had it 5 years. But then on the other hand, I think, well, that's just because we like beer and we like craft breweries. But if you're a completely objective business and you're looking at it and going, it's not making money or not making enough money, and we don't see it ticking up anytime soon, we're not here to run a charity, No, and
I think they've got from what I understand, they've got very clear KPIs and performance measures that all of their businesses have to.
Absolutely.
And that as part of their charter or whatever. So I think, I totally understand that it wasn't hitting the mark, and not only that wasn't hitting the mark, but you couldn't see that uptick coming.
No,
and you can imagine, if you're being totally dispassionate about it, if you are being, what do the numbers look like? What does the future look like? You can understand why that decision was made. And to be honest, I think in terms of not trying to string it out, I totally understand. I respect that they made that call, to be very clear for the staff and for the people involved, that this rather than, oh, it's on the market, you don't really know what's going to happen, you don't know whether you'll have a job in a month or two. It's very clear what's going to happen. So I'm very, very sad. I'm absolutely devastated about the loss of some of those beers, and the impact that it has on other breweries in the region. Who were kind of relying on Hop Federation a bit. So that's it's quite sad.
I think you're right. It's a clear-eyed decision, and you think of an owner-operated business, and to an extent, maybe Epic comes to mind, where they were struggling, and it's just like push on until it breaks and you can't push on any further. And there were lots of other mitigating circumstances, which maybe we'll touch on another time when we do a pod with Luke from Epic. I don't know, you've recorded that, Martin, and I haven't listened to it yet, but does he talk about that aspect?
We didn't get into the difficulties that
and fair enough. Like
I think that's past. Probably a future, because we did, as a spoiler alert, we rambled on for a long time and still didn't cover everything we wanted to do. So we said we'd come back and have a second chat.
Okay.
And I think that maybe we can pick that up then.
Yeah, but I think the difference between having an ownership structure that is separate from the founder owner brewer model, which so many breweries have been, it's been the way many of the breweries in New Zealand have grown. If it's your baby, it's going to be a harder decision to draw the line, and sometimes people's hands get forced, which was the case with Epic, rather than someone else going, look, this isn't working, it's time to draw a line under it. And that's a much cleaner and clearer and I guess just objective thing. No, it's never a great result when anyone closes, but to do it voluntarily rather than to have to go through a liquidation type process, which would be terrible. I think it'd be much worse.
And I think the impact on related businesses, suppliers, creditors and so on, it's a lot easier to manage those sorts of things in this scenario.
Yeah, and credit there again in that sense to Fortune Favours and Shannon and Dale Cooper, the owners of it, who the decision was made to close rather than to push on and then be in a situation where you're left like owing people money, there are unsecured creditors, etc., etc. So, the knock-on effect of a liquidation is quite severe for other people in the industry. So, so again, credit to them for making that clear and quick decision, I think. Anyway,
so just before we get into the Beervana chat, I just wanted to, on a positive note, related to one of our other interviewees in that Beervana chat, is that I heard, actually probably around the time of Beervana, the news came out that the Hawke's Bay Food and Wine Festival is going to have a beer this year, and which and it's going to be our good friends at Brave. So if you are lucky enough to have got a ticket to the Hawke's Bay Food and Wine Festival, because I believe that they've sold out, and it's a pretty hot ticket to get, then you'll be able to have drinks from 18 wineries and one brewery So
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's a great outcome, I think, and
Yeah.
really good that they've gone with a local business.
Yeah.
You know, the chat that we had with Matt and Gemma at Brave in the episode earlier on was, that they have a real connection to the area. The Hawke's Bay locals really enjoy their beer and are very very passionate about it. So I'm delighted that they've got themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good result, and good to see wine people realising what's missing.
It's complimentary.
Hot day in Hawke's Bay, yeah.
It's not a competition. It's
it's complimentary.
It's complimentary.
Yeah, good.
So I
good
think
point.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we should preface this chat because we've talked for quite a long time, and we don't want to go over the hour if we can avoid it. So it's about a half hour long chat. There's a bit of microphone getting passed around, and I think that the sound quality's come up pretty good, but it all depends on how close people hold microphones to their mouths when they're speaking as to the quality of the sound.
And you do occasionally get kind of random drunk people wandering past and making noise because we were in the middle of Beervana. So I think I was really impressed with how the sound turned out. So I'm sure you'll all enjoy it. It's really it's a good live feel, and there's some really interesting topics.
Yeah, and we mention it in the session, but we were drinking Chance Luck and Magic 3 vintages, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. The latter two in beautiful magnums. Garage Project were way generous. Like I don't. What would be a magnum of Chance Luck and Magic be worth? Like,
you got to think
it has to be $150 or something.
You got to think it's got to be over $100, don't you? I found it quite amusing that Dave Bell from Garage Project said that they'd bottled some of it in magnums and then thought, well, what are we going to do with this? Because you need a lot of friends. To crack into 1.5 litres of Chance Luck and Magic. You need a bunch of people.
Yeah, so we did them a favour, really.
Absolutely, and alongside that, we had some good old Tigermilk from Brave. So if you liked sours, you were happy. If you liked hoppy beers, you were happy.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, we'll cross over to that and see you very briefly on the other side. Enjoy. Dave Bell and Pete Gillespie from Garage Project talking about their champion beer from the New Zealand Beer Awards, Chance Luck and Magic 2021, and we have some samples of that pouring. And then Brave Brewing, Matt Smith's here to talk about Tigermilk and their champion brewery performance. There's so much to say, couldn't get it into one sentence. So without further ado, we might pour some of these beers to get it started. Martin will pour it out and distribute it, and we'll get the questions rolling. We do have 2021, then in the magnums, 22 and 23, which are labelled as 4 and 5 year blends. So a very special treat, I think, to get 3 vintages of this, especially the 21. Impossible to get beer unless you're here. Right, without further ado, we will get cracking. Pete, you've got the microphone in your hand, so we'll start with you. who came up with the idea to do or have a cool ship in the middle of Wellington and then to make a beer like this? Like, what was the inspiration?
Yeah. The inspiration for Wild Workshop came from a trip that Joss and I did over to Brussels to visit Cantillon. Do you all know Cantillon? Put your hands up and go whoop whoop if you know. Whoop whoop. We went over there. I'd only read about Cantillon. So Cantillon, if you don't know, is one of the great lambic breweries of the world. And these few lambic breweries managed to keep this style of beer alive when, it almost snuffed out. We were so lucky. Jean, who's the brewer there, is the most generous guy. He spent literally half a day with us talking about everything, showing us around, and it was just a magical experience. When we got back to Wellington, I think about a year later, Joss said, "You've got to come and see this." And we went to Marion Street. It was for lease, and the thing that he took me to was this shitty little upstairs attic at Marion Street, which, it doesn't look like much. Whenever I'm doing a tour, I start people there, but it was that attic because it reminded me exactly of the attic space at Cantillon where they have their cool ship.
Okay.
So we planned to have the cool ship up in the attic. In fact, it turned out that the cool ship was way too fucking heavy, and there was no way we were ever going to get it up there. So the cool ship now lives on the second story. So if you don't know what a cool ship is, it's a very traditional way of cooling beer down. So we make the hot wort at Ardo, bring it to Marion Street, pump it upstairs into this big, shallow stainless steel pan, and it fits 3,000 litres. And then we throw the windows open at Marion Street and invite in the wild yeast and bacteria from outside. We had that in mind when we started Marion Street, but it's Dave, it's the magic of Dave that's really made this beer so fantastic.
Okay, so
magic of Dave.
Dave, what is the magic? First of all, I think we should go back to something unmagical. I heard that after you had a great NZ Beer Awards, you then returned to Wellington and you had the perfect conditions to put down a vintage, and that requires sleeping with the wort. How was that with the legacy of a celebratory weekend?
Yeah, we obviously had a big weekend in Christchurch. So celebrated our trophies after the awards. Flew back up to Wellington on Sunday, obviously, and then Monday is a 14-hour brew day, 5.5-hour mash, 3-hour boil, and then I sleep next to the cool ship. We actually did that twice in that first week after, so it was a big week.
2 days in a row, and 2 nights?
Over 3 days. So obviously we have a really big day making the beer, and then the next day racking to barrel, go home, and then set it all again.
So why do you have to sleep with it?
It seems a little silly. We actually have to turn off all the smoke alarms. The steam sets off our smoke alarms in the brewery. And so with no smoke alarms, they want someone on site.
Just in case there's a fire, to make sure there's somebody there. Otherwise, no one will be heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Health and safety is important, Pete. Yes. So how long does it take? Is it those 2 nights? Is that how long it takes to inoculate the beer?
No, so we'll leave it in the cool ship for 14 to 16 hours, rack into barrel the next day, and we normally have a ferment happening within 1 to 2 weeks. Yep.
And what do we think of this beer so far? Yep. Enjoy those little sips. Oh, thank you very much. And then the blending. How do you do that? You had to wait 3 years to have enough to do the first blend.
For the first time, yes. So this is like a Gers style beer. So we blend multiple years The tradition is year 1, 2, and 3 blended, but we're up to using year 5 now, just because we have it. So as the beers age, they become more and more complex. And what's really fun about this, the actual brewing part and the coolship is only a little part of the whole process. What's really important is the blending. So Dave and I will go through all the barrels. Initially, when I did this, I just assumed that you would go around and find the best barrels and put the best barrels together and you would have the best beer. But in fact, what works really well is obviously finding really good barrels, but we want some quirky ones in there too. I always say it's a little bit like people. Sometimes you meet a perfect person and they're fucking boring, right? So having those little quirks is really important. So we're looking for, character barrels. We're looking for often soft barrels as well, so we can manipulate the acidity up and down. So it's a real art form, and I mean, we're doing all right so far. But yeah.
So how many so far? 4 blends? Like how many vintages? 20, 21, 22, 23.
And 24 will be coming out in the next 2 months, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
And so each one has more age in it for one of. So you always have some of the original stock to go into them, or is the first lot gone?
Well, it'll be 5 years again this year. We're starting to get pretty thin with kind of 5-6 year stock, but 23 and 24 were both blends of 5 different years.
Okay. And what have you learnt about making it over the years? Like, how have you changed your techniques?
I mean, I learned to make Pilsner in Germany, so everything we do at the Wild Workshop is completely not what I learned to do. I guess just the blending, Pete's talking about it. We just go through and just pick out the best barrels, but I don't think that makes the best beer. I think the blending is where we've learned the most.
The only other thing was really interesting was that Dave was talking about the mashing process. So we do a turbid mash, and it does take 5 hours, which is ludicrous. It's so labour intensive. And one year, Dave and I were like, we don't need to do that. We'll be clever. We're clever brewers. We could just manipulate temperature and we'll get, just the same complex sugars. So we tried that. Didn't fucking work. So we had to go back to the turbid mashing. We now do a bit of it. This year we're doing a bit of a blend, aren't we?
Yeah, we did do one this year, but I mean, if it's in barrel for 3 years, an extra 3 or 4 hours while you're making the beer is not a huge difference. So
this one, in particular, seems to be coming in to itself in terms of winning awards. Like 2020 won a whole lot of awards, and now it's 2021. And is that a product of its age in the bottle, or so?
I think a mixture of being, in the bottle a lot longer, but also just we've got so many barrels now, the complexity. We have almost 80 puncheons to choose from, so I think, the age. I think 24, the one we're going to release in a month or so, is the best one we've done yet.
Okay.
So I think, give them a couple of years in bottle and we'll see how they go.
Okay.
But it is worth just noting that, I mean, you can send this. Hoppy beer obviously should be drunk fresh, like we all know that. This kind of beer, you literally could send it to Mars and it would turn up tasting amazing. So, the age in this case helps. This beer, was it silver medal last year? So it's silver medal last year. This year it's got champion brewery. So, it's aging very elegantly in bottle. A lot of people buy these beers and then will save them and do vertical tastings, as we're doing today, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I think there was maybe the 2023 from memory, to me felt a bit sweeter than other ones, but are they sweeter originally, and does that maybe dissipate, or is that just how it turned out kind of thing?
I mean, the end gravity is all pretty similar. I guess it's just... I don't think it didn't have more sugar in it, so maybe it's just your perception of it, or
probably, yeah. Hey, just quickly, and we're going to talk to Matt as well, but we ended up with more chance, luck and magic than we expected, so so we thought we'd share that around.
Fucking show ponies.
Yeah. So, are there any questions that anyone has around this? Yes, I have to bring you the mic. Hang on.
Hey, good day, guys. Just want to know, as a home brewer myself, is there a preferred temperature for barrel aging?
Yeah, we don't keep it cold. We cap the temperature at 20 degrees Celsius. So in our barrel store, in the middle of summer, it won't get above 20. But
okay, so you guys keep it in like a temperature-controlled room.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Also, do you guys get like angel shares?
One of the things that we have started doing a lot more is just making sure we top barrels up regularly. So you will lose it. And if you allow them to go down too low, then there's too much oxygen in there and you'll start to get acetic, like, vinegar character, which a tiny bit is really nice. Any more than that is, I find it really unpleasant. You were asking about temperature. I mean, one of the reasons that there is a season for doing the spawn beer is that we don't do it below, when we're actually doing the cool ship, we don't do it unless the temperature is below 7 degrees. And I think it's that overnight temperature to cool the wort down, but it's also about that slow fermentation at the beginning in the barrels. You want it to be like a really slow incremental one. And we do have temperature control in our barrel store that keeps it at about just a flat 20, so it never gets higher than that. But yeah, it's definitely not 20 at the moment there, is it? Cool.
And also, if I wanted to, lastly, make one myself, how many barrels would you recommend that I start with?
I mean, we've started using puncheons rather than barrels. We just found that they seem to be the perfect, a puncheon is a 500-litre barrel. We just found it has the perfect kind of blend of surface area to volume. The quality of what we get out of those is so much higher than anything else. But if you are looking for barrels, like really neutral wine barrels, you're not wanting to get flavour from the barrel itself like you do if you're doing a bourbon barrel aging. You're just wanting to have the wood as a kind of like a medium for the bacteria and the cultures to live in.
Yeah, 8.1. Yeah. So I just had a question about the ABV, and it's 8.1. I nearly tipped it on myself. Matt.
I was actually just curious where you're sourcing beer from when you're topping barrels. Do you have...
So we'll often sacrifice one barrel, put it into kegs, and then use those to top the other ones up. Yeah. But it is important, really important. Yeah.
While we enjoy this one, I just thought it would be worth, Matt, so we don't waste your time, sorry. We are going to have some Tigermilk, don't worry. But Matt, I really wanted to know, from a perspective of someone maybe who makes more American-style beers, what do you think of this kind of thing, and would you ever go down that path, or is it just not your thing?
I really enjoy it. We don't do much or any of this at Brave, just because we're so tightly packed in, and we don't really have anywhere to put a barrel, and I just think it requires a level of expertise just way greater than what I possess. People like these guys, just do such a good job, so I figured we'd leave it to them.
Leave it to them, yeah.
But yeah, the level of attention to detail and that mashing process alone is pretty amazing. Like, I did my first ever step mash the other day, just a single, 2 steps, right? And that was stressful enough. But doing something like that is pretty amazing.
Because you have made a saison in the past, I think, yeah?
Yeah. That's just a pretty simple, single infusion mash and a saison yeast strain. Nothing too funky.
All right. Hey, I'm not going to try and remember all the beers that you won gold medals for. There were 8 of them. Was there one of them that was particularly kind of important or memorable or made you feel the most proud in terms of that success?
Tigermilk for sure. It's just such a beast for us. It's got this real big cult following in Hawke's Bay, and all our regulars are just they really get behind it. They're really proud of it, and it's sort of like 60% of what we make. And it's always had a really cool following, really popular beer, but it's never done great in competition. I think it's got a bunch of bronze medals and a silver medal. So going into the awards this year, we thought, man, it'd be really cool if Tigermilk could just get a gold medal. I think I'd see Aaron from Vinnycourt back there. We were like chatting literally like 2 minutes before they announced that about this very thing, and then we sit down and it comes up as the trophy. So that was pretty special, and that was sort of our goal for the awards, was to achieve that. So to see the rest of those golds start rolling in after that was pretty amazing too.
I think on Tigermilk, and from memory, the discussion that you had with Martin on the podcast that we did a month or so ago, your inspiration for Tigermilk wasn't really in the traditional IPA field as people know it, like a West Coast IPA. You had a completely different vision for it originally.
So it's definitely like morphed over time. It's 10 years old now. And when we first started making it, I took inspiration from, I guess, what has become hazy IPAs now. So it was, and it still actually does have like a way higher, like the chloride to sulfate ratio is high on chloride, which is not like normal for West Coast IPAs. Usually they're really high in sulfate, so they can come across really sort of punchy and snappy. But Tigermilk's sort of designed to be like really soft, low bitterness, but highly aromatic, really fruit forward. Sort of, I guess, East Coast hazy style beer that isn't hazy.
Yes.
But it has sort of morphed a lot more towards being like a really snappy, crispy West Coast IPA over time.
That probably suits judging because you can't tell judges all that background. And I think people are now calling exactly what you're describing is bright IPA to a degree, like clear but inspired by kind of a hazy flavour profile.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right.
We are just going to pour some Tigermilk now, and poor old Martin, like he's working really hard. We'll swap jobs. I'll take over there and give you the mic, and then we'll go back and finish with the last of the chance, luck and magic, just for a palate cleanser at the end. We had half an hour booked. We may run a bit longer, but if you guys have to go, you have to go. There's just so many interesting things to talk about. But Matt, while you've still got the mic and talking about Tigermilk, it's one of those beers, like I think Gemma said, you have literally had people crying when they can't get it, or is that true?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. In Hawke's Bay especially, it just has this crazy following, and I think it transcends sort of like the craft beer thing. We have a lot of punters coming in who, they're not really craft beer drinkers. They'll happily drink a Tui or a Spates or whatever, but they drink Tigermilk because it's like the Hawke's Bay thing.
I can finish that.
And I guess, it has that sort of that drinkability and approachability that allows for that. But because of its reputation, like everyone wants to buy it for their Father's Day gift or their Christmas gift or whatever. And people get pretty upset when it's not around. But we try our best to make sure it's available.
So we're coming up, I think, when we did the podcast down at your place, that next year's the 10th anniversary of Tigermilk,
Yeah, which is crazy. It's a long time.
So any plans for kind of celebrating the Tigermilk anniversary?
Yeah, I think we'll get in trouble if we don't. We did the double dry hopped version last year.
That was awesome. I tried the double dry hop version. Was my beer of the year last year.
Well, thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, so I think I feel like there was like quite a few improvements we could have made on that, so I think I'll chip away at improving that again this year.
And the branding of Tigermilk, the tiger cow, has kind of taken over the world, isn't it? I think it's amazing how good visuals and good branding can kind of elevate a beer.
Yeah, and we're so lucky when we did our rebrand, our design team, we had no idea what to expect when we presented a beer called Tigermilk, what they'd come back with. But then as soon as I saw it, just this orange cow with tiger stripes, we're just like, oh my gosh, that's so perfect. And it's just got that iconography, I guess, and it's just so recognizable. And we're just really lucky that we can attach that sort of image to the beer and make it memorable.
And I think that we can, just talking about branding and imagery, some of your garage projects, label and can art is kind of legendary for the effort you put into that. What sort of is the process behind how you... Does the art drive the beer, or does the beer drive the art?
I think it's a bit of both sometimes. When we first started Garage Project, which is 14 years ago now, keep it down, for fuck's sake.
There's people talking about beer here.
So when we started, we had this idea of using local artists to come and do the cans. And I really wanted every single beer to have its own story and its own personality. I remember that we talked to a brand guru at the time, and he was like, whatever you do, don't do this. Don't do random art. He said it'll be brand suicide. If you can't see your brand logo, your big brand logo, from 15 feet away, you'll be dead in the water. And we completely ignored that. And look, it worked for a very long time. You could tell what Garage Project was because it was the big, colourful, extravagant art. I have to say now, so many breweries do that as well. Good. Can I just say that gold is so well deserved. This is one of my all-time favourite world beers, if not just Kiwi beers. It's fucking awesome. Yeah. Art is important. It's also really good fun. We do sometimes just put art out to an artist and see what comes back, and it can almost shape the beer. Other times we have a very clear sense of what we want to have, and then just work with someone to get there.
And then I think you kind of look at, you've got all that wild and wacky and really creative stuff, and then you have beer.
Beer. So beer, actually, I think there were more iterations done of that design than anything else. We've actually got it somewhere, and there's about 70 iterations of just the word beer on a white background, because it has to be so perfect. It was probably the hardest job anyone had to do, that one.
Simplicity's hard sometimes.
It is hard, yeah.
Have we got any questions for Matt? Or we do. Here, hold on a moment while I bring you the microphone.
I just am interested in how you chose the name Tigermilk.
So I really like this Scottish indie pop band called Belle and Sebastian, and it's the name of one of their albums. When I saw it, I just thought it sounded like a real cool name for an IPA. Yeah, but I think that album covers this woman breastfeeding a tiger soft toy. So kind of some connection there too.
Hey Matt, congratulations.
Thank you.
Again, incredible success. My question is, so you mentioned that Tigermilk has kind of transitioned from a bright but hazy kind of profile beer to more of a bitter, punchy beer over the last 10 years. And you also mentioned that you've got quite a really strong local following. What I'm interested in is, have the locals noticed that transition?
I don't think so. It's very slow over time. You'd know this as well. You kind of change one tiny thing each batch, and and you debrief on that batch, and every time you're like, how can I make this a little bit better, or a little bit more this way or that way, and so I don't think I recall anybody ever mentioning that they thought it was different. Yeah.
Any other questions for any of our brewers? Or are you all just busy enjoying the Tigermilk? Oh, he's got another question.
So you're collecting wild yeast in the middle of Wellington. Have you ever done the lab work to kind of isolate and get the strain and maybe commercialise, do it that, or are you just happy to let it run wild?
So one of our food is Rua. I don't know if you've tried the beer Rua. That's solely fermented with yeast and microbes that we harvested from a hop vine. So we've banked that. We have that strain in the States and regularly get commercial pitches of it. So it's got a Pediococcus, Lactobacillus, 2 Brettanomyces and a Saccharomyces. So yeah, it's a mix. We don't get it back in the same ratios every time, but it's allowed us to have good consistency. It actually, the original barrel ended up with a bit of Acetobacter in it, and we got the lab to scrub that out. So it's a cleaner. Yeah.
So that barrel 157, let's talk about it. So we, when we first started Wild Workshop, we had this project where we'd go out and collect wildflowers and throw wildflowers into the wort. Yeast and bacteria would jump from the wildflower into the wort and ferment it. So we got quite carried. I carried away. And you came along. We got a hop vine from harvest and threw the hop vine into the wort, and it started fermenting. The only problem was a little bit of the hop vine kind of rose out of the wort, and it got quite funky looking and kind of like a little bit mouldy. That's a little bit of hop vine. And then the wort, it was fermenting, but it started to smell like minestrone soup, which is a really odd thing. And so we were all smelling it and going, fuck, that's a bit weird, isn't it? And in the end, the brewers are like, nah, this is gross. We just got to get rid of it. It smells like minestrone soup. And I was like, oh, God. It was like 3,000 litres of it. So we decided in the end to save one barrel. We did one barrel and we dumped the rest. And a year later, we went back to that barrel and tried it. And it was the most incredible beer that we had produced up until that point. All that minestrone had changed and become this incredibly complex, interesting beer. And so that's where the base culture comes from. We've got the dregs from that one barrel and we propagated them up again, reused it. And that's the house culture that we have. Yeah.
So for home brewers, if you make a beer that smells like minestrone soup, just chuck it in a barrel for a year and you could be fine. Could be fine. Maybe not. So Michael is just distributing the final sample that you've got, which is Chancellor Magic 23. So hopefully you can remember what 21 and 22 tasted like, and you can do that comparison in your head. So this has got five years worth of beer in it?
Yeah, it's 19, 20, 21, 22 and 23. No, sorry. 18, 19, 20, 21 and 22.
Okay. That's... how much have you got left of the 18 to blend for?
I think two puncheons left, so we've got 1,000 litres left of it.
Okay, so you can. So there's a theoretical limit of the number of years you can blend.
Yeah, this was our 9th season making spontaneous beer this year. So yeah, I think 18 was the first one we had really good results with. So I think next year is probably the last time that'll make the cut.
Well, but then obviously you've got more years coming on stream, so you can kind of keep it rolling.
Yeah, this year we got 17 puncheons full, so 8,500 litres of spontaneous, which we'll chew through over the next few years. Yep.
That's awesome. And we have a question at the front.
Thank you. So sour beers are like farmhouse style Belgian beers, but nice, easy things you can drink in the afternoon. But given the complexity and the cost involved with this, what would you eat with this?
Cheese is fantastic, but I also quite like it when we launched the 23 with pizza. which is amazing. We got Tommy Millions to come in, Tommy Tomato, and he just did pizzas, and they were incredible because it's a wonderful food beer. It's so complex. It goes with so many things. Wonderful with cheese, bread, anything you can think of really. I mean, you could probably even try it with curry. But I just also like this idea that people think it's such a special tuck it away beer. It shouldn't be. I mean, you should be drinking this with a pizza, have it with fish and chips, really,
I think it'd be awesome with fish and chips. One of my favourite food and beer matches is Flanders Red and fish and chips.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it'll cut through the grease on anything. I mean, it'd be great with a burger, great with anything like that. And I mean, I kind of like that high-low, highbrow beer with lowbrow food. It's kind of cool. Good mashup.
Hey, first of all, I'm just wondering if anyone has a very strong opinion on the differences between the three vintages, if you can pick them, and would like to share.
Yeah, what he said, last one is the best, I think. I thought the first one, a little thinner bodied and quite strongly sour, and then the next one stepped up with a little bit of body, but had a little bit of additional funk. And then the third one is easily the smoothest, most well-balanced, and it just is, like, it really tickles your taste buds. It's fantastic beer. Really incredible.
You were asking about changes in process. One of the things we have done over the years at GP in Wild Workshop is increase the amount of hop that we use in these. I think when we first started Wild Workshop, we were just like, oh my God, I really hope it goes sour. And then, it got sour. It would take the enamel off your teeth. Gave people tummy ache, and so we've really been just nudging up the amount of hop that we put in, but not just any hop. So we actually age our own whole cone hop at the Wild Workshop. If any of you've done a tour, you'll see up in that attic space I was talking about, we have big bales of whole cone, and we age them. They stale, they get a unique character, like a flavour and an aroma, but they also, it just dampens down the alpha acids, so it's not killing the bacteria, but it's just telling it to just chill out a bit. Chill out. Calm down.
Yeah. The whole cone hops, you source them from your own hop?
Freestyle. Normally, yeah. Yep. We use a lot of Motueka. What else do we have there?
Waiiti, Riwaka. Yep.
Waiiti's cool because it's super low alpha to start with, like 3. So.
I just have to advocate for 21. I don't remember the year, but the
nose. Stick it right into your face.
The nose on 21 was so lovely and inviting, and more of a Parmesan cheese kind of body. So, big ups for 21. I like that.
It's a bit weird to say this, but sometimes we feel like Chance Like a Magic has almost a salami note. There's like a slight savoury. I mean, that puts people off when you say salami beer, but it does. It has a savoury quality, which I think Cantillon does as well. It's a cool thing. I like it.
Yeah. Hey, look, I appreciate that there might be more questions, but yeah, certainly, Matt, we've kept you away from your stand for a very long time. So if anyone else wants to sample a little bit more, I think there is some of the 22 still in that Magnum, a little bit. Yeah. So just sneakily come up at the end if you want a little bit more. There's not much. But I'd like to thank you guys for making the time to come and be with us. It's an absolute pleasure. I feel really privileged to be sharing this with you. So thanks, Pete, Dave, and Matt, and thank you all for coming.
Welcome back. What about that? Wasn't that a great chat? I just so much generosity of information shared by both. It was good to get the backstory behind the name of Tigermilk.
Of Tigermilk, yeah.
That was in there. And the other thing I thought was you could tell how much kind of mutual admiration there was between the Garage Project guys and Matt and vice versa. Matt was saying he would never be able to take on a beer the complexity of Chance Like a Magic and the the amazing skills they had, and Pete saying how he thought Tigermilk was one of the best beers in the world.
Yes, not just New Zealand, the world. That was, and I think Pete's probably tasted a lot of really good beer. Someone came up to you and said that that session was their actual highlight of Beervana.
Yeah, absolutely. Two separate people came up to me and said that, and I don't think they were talking about the amazing hosting.
No.
I think they were probably influenced by having 3 vintages of Chancellor and Magic. But there was great chat. It was.
It was really interesting, and I hope those of you who are still with us at this end have enjoyed it. And we have a few more up our sleeves from that, which we will filter out or dribble out over time. So.
Yeah, there's some great chats coming up, and look, just probably worth saying, expressing our appreciation again to Ryan and the team at Beervana for facilitating that and putting that together. That was awesome. And to the brewers, to Dave, Pete, and Matt for coming along and sharing their time and their beers. And to the audience who came along and asked some really interesting questions. They
were a very well informed bunch of people. It was great to see. Yeah.
It was great fun.
It was. Hopefully we do it again next year. Probably next week, or if we get our stuff together, as we alluded to earlier, we're going to look at, I guess, 2 breweries that have been intertwined for quite some time, both 20 years old this year. Been Hallertau and Epic. So that's on the radar. So keep an eye out for the next edition of the Third Pint Theory with that chat, which I am sure will be incredibly entertaining, Martin.
It's certainly entertaining. It's you should look forward to that one.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us. And enjoy your beers wherever and whenever you're drinking them. Yeah.
Cheers.
All right. See yous.